Hi Virgo, welcome to your mid-July 2019 General Tarot Update. It's Rena here. I had to start over again, so what else is new? So anyway, the heart of the matter is the Hangman. So this is kind of being kept in limbo for some reason. Maybe you're waiting for a decision that somebody else has to make. So a job offer, you interviewed for a job, you're waiting to hear back. Maybe there's somebody who you are sweet on and you've kind of flirted with them, but and gave them your number and they haven't called you. I could go down the list, but you kind of get where I'm going with that. Sometimes the Hangman can simply mean that you have surrendered to the situation, whatever that situation is. Let me just mention the past position. The past position is the Ace of Swords. So it could be that you have seen the light about something and that you're out of the what do you call that? I was going to say illusion, but I meant denial over a situation, and you're kind of like knowing that you need to take you knew that you need to take action on something, but perhaps there is something going on that does not allow you to do so. So an example would be, let's say that you found out that your partner was having an affair. This would be something that already happened. And maybe they even, like, if you're married, they left and they're living with somebody else and you're waiting to see if they're going to stay, if they're going to ask for a divorce, or maybe you're in the process of getting divorced. Something along those lines, if it's a personal relationship and you're just kind of like chilling, hanging loose, surrendering to the situation, not trying to push it, in other words. The higher message is the Knight of Cups. This is a card of an offer coming to you. And to me, it's almost like when you let go of resistance and the need for something to turn out in a particular way, the way that you are hoping it will, that there's a better chance of it happening because you're not attached to the results. And that to me is what sometimes people fail to understand when they're trying to make something happen, is that if you try too hard, then I feel that you can create resistance to the very thing that you want. So it's got to be like kind of like a very delicate balance. Also, I think if this is a personal relationship, I always think of the Knight of Cups as like the knight in shining armor type of symbolism. And it's like, hold out for that type of an individual, somebody who is coming at you with love, an offer of love, instead of somebody who is just trying to get what they want. And the other thing too is, even like if this is a job offer, make sure it's something that you can put your heart and soul into. That, because we're talking about cups, so your emotions are engaged, something that your emotions become engaged with. You're an earth sign, as you know, Virgo, and you may tend to be very pragmatic about what it is that you want, and forgetting that part of it has to be your own feeling that you're doing something that really makes sense to you, rather than just adding up the dollars and cents of whether or not something is practical. And I think sometimes people underestimate how important it is to really feel like you're doing what you're meant to do. That's just kind of like that's almost like a fantasy. And I think that it's really quite important, actually. And that when people are kind of going through the motions and doing things just to make a buck, that they tend to, it's almost like, what's that phrase, that they're on autopilot. and they're not really like living life. And they're not feeling like they're really giving what they have. One thing about your sign, Virgo, is that you're very efficient. So you're good at in any situation. You're the kind of cleanup man or cleanup woman, where you're great at, like, making order out of chaos. So you can kind of fit right in many different scenarios. And that is your talent. What crosses you is the Hermit. And ironically, this is your card, so it's funny that your own card is acting against you, so to speak. But actually, it's not, kind of emulating the card that may be creating some of the problems if you're feeling like your life isn't really flowing the way you want it. The Hermit is looking within and really kind of reflecting on whatever it is that they want, and if they feel like they don't have something in life that they want, whether it's a specific relationship or a job that they are that they feel a sense of alignment with. That, again, I mean, I think it kind of reiterates what I was just saying, that perhaps there's too much emphasis on the material and not enough on the spiritual. And spiritual doesn't have to be all mystical and woo. It just can simply be, I'm not just a physical being, and therefore I can't just worry about physical things. I have to think about, what else is there in life that really sustains me? And what sustains me is the feeling that I am helping people from a position of what I'm good at and what I'm passionate about. Advice is represented by the Fool in reverse. And this card is in the upright position. I'll just show it to you. This is a card of embarking upon a journey, a new journey. It's kind of like pressing the reset button. But when the card is reversed, some of those traits are not there. So, for instance, the Fool is also about nonconformity. And sometimes I would even say in the reversed position, it could be somebody who chooses to go against the grain for no good reason. But I don't think that's necessarily how I would interpret it in the context of this reading. I would say that it's possible that you have some kind of, what would I call it? Not excess baggage, unfinished business. And with the Hangman, you may be hanging on to something, or somebody may be keeping you on the hook. Again, I always mention narcissists because these are people that have no intention of really committing themselves to somebody, but they give the impression that they're going to. And this is part of their game. So the bottom line is that if you are somebody who is waiting for somebody else, maybe you're waiting for somebody to divorce their partner, and you get this feeling that you're being put in this limbo state, and you resent it, but you don't do anything about it. The Fool in reverse can be that you are refusing to use logic, apply logic to the situation, that you're being very, very foolish, that you are not moving ahead in life, that you're kind of like stagnating because you're in this no man's land. So in order to really, turn that energy around, you might have to be the one to make a decision, Virgo. Maybe you're waiting for somebody else to make a decision and you need to just do it yourself. So, this reminds me of one time my partner was waiting for a customer to decide whether or not to hire him to do some work for them. And his brother said to him that he should tell these people, while you were deciding whether or not to hire me, somebody else just did. And just like say, in other words, say, I just got another offer and I'm going to take it. And that always stuck in my mind because I thought that was really funny. And that's the truth. I mean, but you don't need another offer. All you need is your self-respect. If somebody is trying to keep you in this, I keep saying no man's land, but I want to say something like this inert, the state of inertia, the state of, gosh, I can't think of the word. I'm sure one of you will think of what I'm talking about. But, where you're in limbo. That's the best way of putting it. You don't have to act like somebody else pulls your strings, like you're somebody else's puppet. You can make that decision that you're going to leave on your own terms. Or you're going to decide, even like if it's a job offer. And, sometimes they just say, well, I haven't decided yet. Well, if you really need so much time to decide whether or not to hire me, then you know what? I'm going to, go elsewhere. So there's one less person that you have to decide between. And good luck to you. You know what I mean? And that's because that can be a little bit of a power play on somebody else's part where they know they've got you where they want you. And so you might have to be the one to, kind of make that decision that you're going to take the initiative. And I did get an outcome card that was in the reversed position, so I picked an additional card. Interestingly, I have several swords in this reading. So swords connect to air signs, Virgo, and we're talking specifically about Gemini, which is another mutable sign that very well may be at play here if this is a personal relationship, because you're both mutable signs, and that forms a square that is very irritating but very attracting to one another by the same token. And then Libra and Aquarius are the other air signs. So this is about, actually I could have ended with this card because in the reversed position, now that I think about it, it's actually a positive card. It's about you getting out of this stalemate position and taking action and making a decision. So I think that you are going to do this on your own. I did pick an additional card, another swords card, because for some reason I was thinking I can't end on a reversed card, but that was actually a positive card. And I got the Seven of Swords, which can be about you going your own way, maybe doing so in a very clever kind of a way. And so an example would be if you are waiting to hear from a company and they haven't responded and you're getting quite irked, you can start to look. You don't have to announce to them that you're looking, and then you have more options and you can kind of go behind the scenes and do things on your own terms. In other words, you're kind of like not trying to burn any bridges, whatever it is that you're doing as you leave the scene, so to speak. And so you are like, in this time period before your solar return, Virgo, you are experiencing, maybe you need to tie up some loose ends. While the sun, towards the end of the month, when it goes into Leo, will be in your 12th house, it's shining a light on all those things that are unfinished business in your life. And so that may be a time when you need to kind of like just make a concerted effort to do things that are more like closure type of things, so that when you have your birthday, you can really start anew. And then the Fool card will be turned upside down. I mean, right side up. Hopefully I didn't confuse you too much. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this. If you'd like a personal reading, the link is below. My website is rainandmoonastrology.com. Take care. Bye.